Hello class, this is a video tutorial on solving equations with groups. So the thing with solving these is the first thing we need to learn is how to expand groups. So we're going to learn how to expand groups first. So here's the most basic idea of a group. If you have a number A outside a group, which is B plus C. This is a very basic example. And what actually happens is this number in the front, it multiplies with each one, with each term inside the group. So if this is A, it's going to be A times B, which is going to be A, B. A times plus C, well, that's going to be plus A, C. It'll probably make more sense if I use actual numbers for this one. So we get 2 outside X plus 3, for example. Well, this is going to expand into 2 times X is going to be 2X. 2 times positive 3, well, that's going to be plus 6, and that's how we expand it. And we'll do one more example just so that we fully comprehend. So minus 3 outside 2 minus X. 3 times 2 is 6, but it's a minus 3 times a positive 2. That gives us a minus 6. 3 times X is going to be 3X. And it's a negative 3 times a negative X. So that gives us a positive 3X. Now let's go straight into solving equations using this idea that we have. Okay, let's move on here. So let's take a look at our first question. We have question A, 3 outside X plus 1 minus 2 outside the group of X minus 4 equals 13. So the first thing we do is we have to expand our groups. So this group is going to expand, this one here. So I'm just going to cover everything up just so that we can see what's going on first. So let's focus just on this one here. 3 times X, well, that's just 3X. 3 times 1, that's plus 3. We are finished with that group. So now we're going to be focusing on this group here. Minus 2 times X, well, that's minus 2X. 2 times 4, well, that's 8. But negative 2 times negative 4, that gives me a positive 8 equals 13. We're now going to collect like terms. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to write the letters closer to each other. So for that, I mean, see this 3x? I'm going to leave it in the front there on its own. But see how the 2x here is separated by the plus 3? I'm just going to rewrite it right next to the 3x. So it's going to be minus 2x there. But that 3, I'd like to move closer to the 8. So this 8 stays where it is. And that 3 is going to move behind it there. And that's all equal to 13. Let's collect like terms now. 3x minus 2x. Well, that's just x on its own. 8 plus 3. Well, that's 11 equals 13. And finally, the inverse function, inverse operation of plus 11 is going to be subtract 11. So now, since we subtract 11, x is on its own. And since we subtracted 11 from the left, we have to subtract 11 from 13. 13 minus 11 is 2. Let's move to our next example question. We have 4 outside the group of x minus 5 plus 5x plus 1 is equal to 12. Once again, we're going to expand these groups here. So it's going to be 4 times x. 4 times x is just 4x. 4 times 5 is 20. But positive 4 times negative 5 is a negative 20. We're finished with that group. We're going to move on to this group here. Positive 5 times x. Well, that's plus 5x. 5 times 1, that's just 5. And 12 has remained unchanged. Collecting like terms, I'm going to bring these x's close together. So it's going to be 4x plus 5x. Okay, so then it's going to be plus 5 here. And this minus 20 has to move somewhere. So it's going to bring it closer to the numbers here. And the 12 remains, once again, unchanged. 4x plus 5x, well, that's just 9x. Positive 5 minus 20, well, 20 minus 5 is 15, but 5 minus 20 must be negative 15 is equal to 12. The inverse operation of minus 15 is plus 15. So 9x is now on its own here because we've added 15, so that 15 will vanish. 12 plus 15 is 27. Inverse operation, dividing by 9, which gives us x on its own. 27 divided by 9 is 3. Let's get a few more examples going on here. Question C. Question C is 4 minus x is equal to 2 minus 3 outside x plus 2, close bracket. So now in this one we can see that the left hand side has no group, so I'm just going to rewrite this as it is because it has remained unchanged. The 2 also has remained unchanged. The only thing that we will be changing is we're going to expand this group here. Negative 3 times x, negative 3 times x, that is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2, well, that's going to be negative 6. So let's collect some like terms now. Now it goes back to solving equations with pronumerals on both sides. So this is minus 3x. The inverse of this is plus 3x. And this one here, we're going to add 3x as well, plus 3x on the left and right. I'm going to do one step at a time, that way we don't get too confused. That 4 has remained unchanged. Minus 1 plus 3, well, that's the same as 3 minus 1. Well, that's 2x is equal to, that 2 has remained unchanged. Whoops. 2. And that 6, this minus 6, also remains unchanged. Okay, let's move on. I would like to do the inverse function, inverse operation of this 4. So I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. I'm going to subtract 4 here, which gives me 2x on its own. 2 minus 6 minus 4. Okay, so this will give me negative 12. That's 2x. Which finally will give me, if I divide both sides by 2, because that's the inverse operation, we get x is equal to negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. We'll do one last question here so we get the final hang of it. Question D is going to be 6 minus 2 outside x plus 5 equals 2 outside 2x minus 1 minus 5x. Once again, we're going to expand the groups that we can. This 6 will remain unchanged. We're going to expand this group here first. This one here, the one I'm showing. Okay, so minus 2 times x is minus 2x. Minus 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus times a positive is a minus. 2 times 2x, that's going to be 4x. 2 times negative 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative 1 must be minus 2. And that minus 5x has remained unchanged. Okay, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to move this on the right hand side. Look what happens when I do that. It makes things a little bit easier now. Watch. I'm going to add 2x here, because that's the reverse of minus 2x. So I'm going to add 2x here. And the reason why I'm doing that is because there are more letters on the right hand side than there are on the left. So it's easier for me to move 1 from the left to the right rather than moving 2 to the left. So let's keep moving on. That 6 remains unchanged. That minus 10 remains unchanged. 4x plus 2x, that's going to be 6x. We have a minus 5 here. I'm just going to write that closer to the other letters, which leaves this minus 2 off on the end here. So let's collect some like terms. 6 minus 10. Well, 10 minus 6 is 4. 6 minus 10 must be minus 4. 6x minus 5x, well, that's just x on its own. That minus 2 stays where it is. Then the reverse of minus 2 is plus 2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides here. So I'm going to be plus 2, which will leave x on its own on the right. Minus 4 plus 2, or 2 minus 4, that's going to be minus 2. So x is equal to minus 2. If you don't like looking at this one, well, what you can actually do is just flip the equation over. So you can just read it as x equals minus 2. So I hope that gives you, that helps you a little bit on solving equations. Best of luck.